The Fishin' Canada Show, brought to you in part by Ram Trucks. Nothing works harder than a Ram. Food Saver, the #1 vacuum sealing system. Stearns, the light jacket experts. Mercury Outboards, #1 on the water. And Outdoor Canada, Canada's only national fishing and hunting magazine.
England, home of the London Bridge, football, the Queen,
Hello.
and the paparazzi. What's all this have to do with your beloved Fishin' Canada show? Well, recently Pete and I made a trip to the other side of the pond to attend the big one, a fishing and tackle show that takes place near London, England, and as the name would suggest, it is massive. Boilies, baits, rods, stands, monster trophies, and of course, fishing babes litter the show floor. But there was one thing that really stood out above all else, and that is the passion the British anglers have about their carp. In fact, they're crazed over them. So we decided to bring a few of these fishing fanatics back home with us. And that's where this Fishin' Canada episode took a 180-degree turn from our usual style. Now, normally it's Pete and I that are chucking out baits in search of a trophy somewhere in Canada. Today, though, we're hosting a group of highly acclaimed British carp journalists. That's right, folks, they actually have carp specialists in England to try carp fishing Ontario style. And hopefully, they'll find out just how fantastic carp fishing is in the colonies. These 4 gentlemen are among the elite carp anglers in all of the UK.
I guide for a company called Go Fishing Worldwide, based in London. I guide and host groups of 4 to 8 people, anywhere from Argentina to Africa, Venezuela, the Bahamas, Cuba, and a bit of salmon fishing in Russia, that sort of thing.
I've always been keen on writing and decided to write a book back in 1981. Well, here we are in 2012. I've now written 6 books on carp fishing and published about another 30 books for other authors.
Apart from working in a tackle shop, which is a tackle shop called Proline Tackle in the West Midlands, I also work for a magazine called Carp Talk. I've been doing that for about 10 years now.
I first got involved in an angling journalism role back in 2004. I quit my corporate job, started up a magazine. Crazy decision to do at my age, but it had to be done. And then I've stayed in the industry ever since, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Our destinations for this episode are the Niagara River, the Toronto Islands, and Little Lake in the city of Peterborough. Our local carp experts are Paul Castellano, who you should know from previous Fishin' Canada episodes, Taro Murata from Fish City Tours, and Len Purdick, one of Canada's premier carp anglers. All 3 of these guys guaranteed us carp in the net.
That is beautiful. The Niagara River is locally known as one of the hottest all-around fishing destinations in all of Canada. The species list is far too long to ramble on about, and this location is perfect for everyone, from lone anglers to an entire family.
Playing around with it forever.
Let me get the mat.
Right behind me.
Lack of it, you mean?
As stated earlier, our local expert for this leg of the carp extravaganza is none other than Fishin' Canada's Paul Castellano. Now, when it comes to fishing the Niagara, Paul wrote the book. He specializes in anything swimming in these waters, and in today's case, the Niagara is loaded with carp.
Let's see. Hold up the hand, boys. That's the thought behind the beers.
Paul set our British friends up in a manner as to fully cover a breakline along the whirlpool which plummets into the Niagara River. I think the boys were in awe at the scenery, the fishing, and especially the vast amounts of access to public water.
Good work, Dave.
It's totally different to what we're used to in the UK. The reason being is that all the land is privately owned. So if you want to go fishing, you either have to get permission from the landowner or you have to buy that permission. And that applies to almost everywhere over southern England.
Big Dave, the fly fisherman, using gear. Look at him, eh?
Now this is a bone being down on those big rocks in the distance.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There we go.
Good work, brother.
Thank you very much.
Look at that. After sitting and watching these carp experts work their magic, it's no wonder that these guys are the best in the business. Their gear is mind-boggling to the novice onlooker, and everything in their entire kit has a purpose. Landing mats, stands, rod pods, buzz bars, bite alarms, throwing sticks, catapult slingshots. Heck, these guys even come with their own custom-made chairs.
You really have a huge natural resource here, and well, luckily I've been invited along to fish this week and experience some of the beauty that you've got here. This first session down in the gorge here really opened my eyes to the carp fishing out in Canada. It looks as though you've got some fantastic venues out here. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the week.
Boy, Dave's got the hot stick today, doesn't he? Whoa, nice one. It's the biggest one yet.
Is it a beauty?
Well, it's bigger. I think it's bigger. Maybe not. No, but the same as the last one. Nice. Good work. Woo! Atta boy, Dave. Look at you, eh?
It's a buffalo.
That's a buffalo.
That's the second one I've ever seen caught in this river.
Oh, they're iridescent. Look.
Wow.
They're beautiful, aren't
What
they?
an unexpected bonus. Not only have we never seen one of these rare buffalo heads, but up until today, we didn't know they even existed in our waters. I wonder, though, how many of them have been misidentified as carp? After all, if we didn't have all of these carp experts around, we wouldn't have known the difference. Outstanding. I said it was darker looking in the water. Look at the snout. Look at the snout working.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I mean, think how rare these things are.
Nicely done, buddy. Nicely done.
It's my first experience of carp fishing on a moving river like this. It's just fabulous. And when I get back, I'll say to the guys, you know, I've had an experience of a lifetime. And I know I will because we've got another 4 days to go yet.
Not only are you slaying them, but you're getting rare fish as well. Only in Ontario, baby.
For a synopsis of today's great carp fishing locations, we started by taking the QEW from Toronto to Mountain Road. We next turned right on St. Paul Avenue. Then we turned left on Churches Lane, and then turned right on Whirlpool Road, which brought us to the Whirlpool on the Niagara River. Our next leg had us heading back on the QEW to Toronto. We then turned onto the Gardiner Expressway. Next we got on Lakeshore Boulevard East, and then headed south on Bay Street to the Toronto Islands Ferry Terminal. Our last leg of the trip took us on the Don Valley Parkway north to Highway 401 east. From there we took Highway 115 north to the Parkway, then right on Lansdowne Street, and finally we turned north on George Street to Little Lake in Peterborough.
Our next stop on our Ontario Carp Tour takes us to the fishing gold mine, otherwise known as the Toronto Islands. This great destination is located at the foot of Toronto, Ontario, making it a complete surprise as to the availability of fishing it has to offer. Of course, the real upside of having a fishing hole so close to downtown Toronto, one of the largest cities in North America, is all the infrastructures, such as transportation, like the ever-popular Toronto Island Ferry. Going to and from the carp swim is just a matter of loading your stuff onto one of the user-friendly scheduled ferries. Just like a walk in the park. Actually, it is a walk in the park.
We're on the outer harbor on Lake Ontario in downtown Toronto. In the background, you hear all these birds. It's actually a bird sanctuary in behind us here. And I don't know if there's a relationship between these birds and the carp, but it seems to be working. And everywhere that I found birds nearby, seems to be some big fish.
One of the island's strengths is the amount of big carp roaming in this unique fishing destination.
I've heard about the fishing in Canada for the carp as well as other species can be prolific in some areas. And the amount of waters you've got, it's just surprising because like back in England, you have to get permission, permits, day tickets. I'd just love to just be able to just have a permit and just go out to fish just like over here. I'd explore so much. I don't think my wife would ever see me again, to be fair.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother. Nice way to break the ice.
Cheers, Rob. I might even have a nude shot here, lads.
Hey, did you know that besides well-known game fish, Ontario has a variety of other species that offer great sport, including carp, catfish, freshwater drum, sturgeon, and even whitefish. If big, powerful, and wary fish are what you seek, you'll love carp. They're found in many shallow, weedy, muddy areas of the Great Lakes and southern inland waters. Savvy anglers fish for them with worms, corn, or dough balls that are set on or just above bottom on sinkers or float rigs. Many fly rodders are also finding great sport fishing for these skittish fish. Ontario's carp fishing is underutilized. New provincial records are out there. So go fish in Ontario today.
No, Roy's not shooting seagulls. He's actually chumming or baiting the area with scented ground bait.
My knowledge of fishing in Ontario and probably in New York State, you only really hear about the St. Lawrence River. And obviously Ontario is much, much more than the St. Lawrence. And I'm kind of glad on this trip in particular, the St. Lawrence has not even been mentioned because it's, there's so many other great places to fish. I'm looking forward to seeing, the diversity of waters that you guys have got. It doesn't surprise me that perhaps carp aren't the top of your species list because you've got so many other wonderful creatures to try and catch, and obviously carp are just one of them. I'm hearing people telling me that there's upwards of 160 species within Ontario, which is just incredible. Compare that with the UK, you can't compare it. So I can kind of understand why perhaps carp are lower down the pecking order. I hope that changes over time.
You're doing something right. I think Roy lost one about 3 times that size, didn't he?
Although prepared bait and corn is the traditional way of catching these super intelligent fish, more and more reports are coming in from the fly fishing fraternity from carp being caught on the fly.
Well, a lot of this is stuff that we've just experimented with over the years.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of patterns, like nibs,
Yes.
different streamers we use, but there's something about this marabou.
It's
and
the movement.
the movement of the marabou.
As it's dropping down, it's got a nice little shimmer to it, I've noticed.
And then varying the weight, the dumbbell eyes.
According to depth of water.
Yeah, that sink rate and depth of water. There's a lot of patterns they'll take. Misconception with a lot of anglers is that you can't catch carp unless you're using some type of bait.
That's right. This fly here has produced probably a dozen fish for me in 2 days.
Dirty job. Somebody's got to do it.
Lovely fish on a fly rod.
Nicely done, dude. So what are you doing? You're walking around stalking, seeing the odd fish?
Yeah.
How many have you had cast to?
I've cast to about 20, and I've hooked 2 and landed that one.
Excellent. Congrats.
Thank you.
First Toronto carp on the fly.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, use your toy.
Thank you
fun,
very
man. Skills high. That's great.
Well done, boys.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
That's great.
Thank you. Just awesome fly fishing. Almost like fishing for bonefish on flats, except it's carp tail instead of the bonefish. Absolutely awesome.
Like all good anglers, staying with the game plan usually pays off in spades. Poor Rob couldn't get bit in Niagara, but he never lost faith or confidence. And look at him now.
Oh! You're fucking... Woo! Oh man, when you show up big time.
Just waiting for that one to turn up.
Oh, look at that. There you go.
There you are, that's carp fishing Canadian style.
Gigantor. That's what we call that one.
Our final stop on our carp extravaganza was Little Lake in Peterborough, Ontario. This again is known as an above-average fishing destination for those hard fighters. In fact, all the Kawarthas are a carp gold mine.
Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. You can see him now anyway.
It's a barb, wasn't it?
Who's the net man?
They're Len has the net.
Oh, that's,
Need a net for that little thing.
that's not a bad fish.
Now, I'm not so sure if Ontario's carp fishing will ever become as famous as those legendary swims in the UK. But I think today's episode has gone a long way towards showing the rest of the carp world that Ontario is definitely a new contender.
Rock on.
Today's hotspot is on Little Lake, located in the city of Peterborough. The waypoint on your screen will put you right on it. Little Lake has been known to local carp anglers as a great fishing destination with quick access to a beautiful city. Use boilies for your main bait, and remember to feed the area with either feeder boilies or ground bait. We highly recommend proper heavy carp gear designed to tame these powerful beasts. For more hotspots like this one, check out fishingcanada.com.
The Fishin' Canada Show, brought to you in part by Sail, the Outdoors Superstore, Coleman, the Outdoor Company, Muskol, proudly Canadian since 1951, Cooper Tires, life's a road trip, come on, let's go, and Princecraft Boats, dominate the waters.